Hello all, welcome you to another session in Tableau. We have just got an idea on what is the architecture of Tableau and how this Tableau workspace is going to look like. And since you have just got exposed to how the Tableau workbook is going to be and what are the options that is available with Tableau workbook, you could have definitely got an idea that um, suppose if I have to make use of Tableau and try to do some kind of visualization with Tableau, first thing what I need to do is definitely connecting to the data. Okay, see, most of you might be having one question in your mind. The question is that um, in what way this visualization is going to be helpful for me, and is it really something which is applicable only to the e-commerce kind of applications which I discussed when I wanted to tell you about the data visualization. I just wanted to rule out one point here. See, this visualization is something which is actually helping people in every sector. In fact, one of the very interesting example that I wanted to give you to understand is that suppose, for example, you just understand that for there is I mean, in a country you will have a lot of cities, and in every city crimes is something which is happening on a daily basis. And a lot of crimes are happening, and the the government is not unable to track out how we can resolve these issues. So maybe they will the only workable that they could actually try on is employability of a lot of cops, so that in each of the areas more cops are available. So when you have more cops, there is always a possibility that the crime rate is going to be reduced. But this kind of solutions that you take up will not actually work out for a long run, because that is definitely not the solution. Because every area you just increase the cop, it is something which is not really required. Okay, so for all suppose if you wanted to find out a workable solution for this, you will rely on certain things like visualization. So what you will try to do is that you will try to get the data where the area wherein the crime is happening, and which is the hotspot for the criminals. You just wanted to identify all these things. So if you have to identify all these things, you get all the crime data, and then you try to do some kind of visualization. And with that visualization you would be able to get an answer to what are the major areas where crime is happening, and which is a hotspot for a criminal. Once you identify a hotspot for a criminal, then you employ more cops in that area and which time the crime is happening. So you try to identify the time at which the crime is happening. So once you identify when exactly the crime is happening, only during that time you employ a lot of you put a lot of cops in duty, so that the crime rate can be considerably reduced. So these are some examples that I wanted to give it to you, so that you will get an idea, like, through this way also visualization could be useful. So it's not only with this cop assistance, even with your healthcare, and you can do certain visualization to identify how many patients are in there in the hospital, and how many need severe attention. All these things, if you wanted to find identify, again visualization will be helpful for all of you. And the solution to perform all these visualization, of course there are multiple tools available, and right now what we are concentrating or focusing on is definitely Tableau. So Tableau can help you to get answers for this kind of problems. So when I said, so this is the solution that I wanted to achieve, and this is the visualization that I wanted to perform. But before you do all these things, what is required for me is that I need to get all the data into Tableau. And in once the data is inside the Tableau, then only you can actually perform these visualization. Absolutely no doubt about it. So this session is going to be completely dedicated towards understanding how you can connect the data from multiple sources and get the data into your Tableau, and what are the things that you can do with respect to the data that you have got inside your Tableau. So this is what is going to be the discussion. Okay, now first thing is that you just wanted to connect your data. Okay, generally where you will find the data. So there could be different type of data, first of all, in terms of size. So in terms of size, if I do a classification of data, you will have a small data and then you will have a big data. So small data is something which will be maintained at an organization level, where you will either maintain it as a form of a text file or a CSV, or it could be stored in an Excel. So you have this type of data, which is a small data, which is owned by the organization. Complete rights and everything lies within the organization, and the organization decides that with this data, the organization wanted to perform some visualization possible with Tableau. Okay, so first type of data. Second type of data is that the big data. So big data, probably from an RDBMS, whatever you're getting, that couldn't be called as a big data. However, you can actually compare to your CSV or your text file. You can compare, you can visualize that the data which is there in my database or in my cube is going to be considerably bigger. Okay, so it's not talking about real big data terms. Okay, but yeah, so the considerably the size is going to be little higher compared to the smaller type of data which you own it in your organization. So this is another form of data. So these type of data also needs to be brought inside your Tableau to do some visualization. And another form of data that you can find very often is that you have data maintained in your cloud. The company is owning a cloud and the data is residing in the cloud. So you wanted to get that data also inside this Tableau. Okay, so there could be a possibility for an organization if they wanted to perform a complete visualization. Say for example, when you take an e-commerce website itself. So for your e-commerce website, any kind of transactions that is happening with an e-commerce website is going to be stored in an RDBMS. And all the customer information, I'm just maintaining it in an XML. Okay. And Excel. And all the kind of reviews that I'm getting for my e-commerce company, I'm storing it in a cloud. Okay, because that is going to be very, very huge. So I'm just storing that in a cloud. Now if I wanted to find out, for the last week, what was the sales for my organization and what are the reviews that how many positive reviews and negative reviews have gone for a particular product. If I have to do a visualization of this, what I need to do is I need to get the data from three components basically. Okay, I need to connect to all these three components and I need to get my data inside to Tableau. Okay, so connecting to data is the first step that we are concentrating on right now. Okay, now when it comes to connecting a data, first thing, you can do it through multiple ways. First of all, first thing is your supported connectors. Okay, so now let us go to our Tableau online. We will go. Yeah. Okay. So now if you go here, as I told you, when you click on create, okay, so this is something which I'm showing it in your Tableau online. In case if you are using your desktop, immediately you will have a blue screen here. Here you can find out all of the connectors that is possible. Okay, so now I click on workbook. Once I click on workbook, it is going to take me to another window. Okay, and in this window you can see very clearly connect to the data. So it is telling me files. So in case if you try to connect your data from a local website, local text file or from a database, you will use this option and you can just click upload from computer. And then you can select any one of the Excel file or any one of the text file. So here it is a bookshop. Okay, I'm just clicking on it. It will automatically upload it. Okay, so this is one way of you can connect it. Okay, similarly, the connectors also had another option, right? So what are the other options which was available was connecting to a database. Okay, and then you can connect to your cube also. So when it comes to connectors, there are a lot of connectors which is available. Say for example, you have connectors for your Hadoop, you have connectors for your Amazon EMR, and then you have connectors for your JSON, PDF file, statistical file, and almost like, very commonly used connectors are always available. In case if there is no connector which is available, what you can do is that you can actually you can use an option like other connectors, like you can define your ODBC and the JDBC connectors through which you can connect your data. So that is also possible. And also one more thing that you can do is that or you can actually, if you wanted to have a special type of connector, again you can go and ask your Tableau community for the special kind of connectors that you wanted to connect it. So anyways, all these things is going to be useful for you to get connected to your data. So now what we have connected is just a Excel file, because like, right now I'm not running a database in my system, so I will not be in a position to show you how this is connection for a database is going to be. So as I said, it is going to have all kind of support. I mean, it's all just a step by step process which you need to follow it, that will help you to understand how you can connect your data. Okay, this is one way. Another way what you can do is that, see here, the second way is you can use a connector gallery, or the third way you can do is the clipboard data. So clipboard data is very simple. It is like you just have your Excel file. Okay, so you just have your Excel file, and then you can just copy from the Excel file and you can directly paste it here. Okay, so in through that way also you can connect your data. Okay, so this is the clipboard connection data. Or otherwise you can actually use something called as an extension gallery. So when it comes to extension gallery, like it has a dozen of supported connectors you can actually choose from. Okay, there is a extension gallery which is available, and just you go to Google and then type extension gallery for Tableau, you will get the link, and you can go to that link and then you can make use of those connectors which is available as an extension also. Okay, so most of the time what we end up is that we can actually perform all kind of connections which is possible. Okay, so these are different ways which you will actually use make use in order to connect your data. Okay, so first thing is connecting your data. I hope you got an idea on connecting to a data. Now the next thing what you need to understand is that you need to have an idea about data sources. Okay, so what is the meaning of data sources means? See, after you have connected to your data, you will actually use the data source page to set up the data source, and then you have to prepare your data for analysis. Okay, see why this kind of preparing a data source is something which is essential. If you have to understand that, why do you have to plan a data source? Okay, so the thing is that every type of data that you're going to have in your database, or from your database, whatever type of data that you have got, it need not be everything is going to be crucial. Sometimes you wanted some piece of data to be deleted. Okay, and also for example, what sort of data could be deleted means one particular field is there which is not making any sense to me. Okay, so I just wanted to remove that particular field so that my visualization will become better. So you can do that. And also we have multiple formats. Say for example, you have two data, so I mean you have two data sets, you assume that, like for example, for your e-commerce website is itself, sales date is maintained in a database, and then a transaction date which is being maintained in your Excel, assuming. So now what happens is that transaction date is stored in one format and the sales date is stored in another format. Say for example, this is the way it is actually getting stored. Okay, so suppose for example I have a sales date now. Okay, sales date, this is getting stored in the format of 1970 620. Okay, And I have one more data, which is my transaction date. Yeah, transaction. Let me just write transaction date. And here it is stored as 10 July 1970. So you could identify that two different formats are there. However, it is both are talking about the date. Okay. So now you wanted to convert these things to a common format. Okay. So that also comes under, and I mean, before you do any kind of analysis, you just wanted to perform all of these things. You just wanted to change the multiple formats into one, and then you wanted to perform a consolidation. And also, some kind of format which is not really acceptable for analysis or for visualization, it is not acceptable, you can also do make use of something called as a transforming. So all of these operations is something which is mandatory if in case if you have to make out some kind of meaning from the data that you have got. Okay. So to do all of these things, what is required means, first thing is data source is essential. So what this data source will try to do means, data source will try to link your source data and the Tableau. Okay. So once you have your data, after you have performed a connection, once you have your data as a data source, then it's available as a Tableau data. That's the meaning. Okay. So once it is there in your Tableau data, then only you can actually perform any kind of visualization or any kind of analysis that you wanted to perform can be performed. Okay. So which means it is clearly giving you one message. A Tableau data source means it might contain multiple data connections to different databases or files. Okay. So generally, connection information will include where the data is located and how you can connect your data. Okay. But Tableau data sources is something which is embedded in the workbook. Okay. So that's the difference. Okay. So the understanding of data source is something very important. Okay. Now, when we have wanted to perform an analysis, right? So you can always imagine that the kind of analysis that you're going to perform can also vary with this uh, data structures. So I'm not going to talk detailedly about your data structures here, just because of the reason we are going to have a separate session on understanding your data types and all that stuff is there. So we can actually have an idea on these things later. But as of now, what you need to understand is that, of course, this structuring the data for analysis is something important, because the structuring the data is going to play a major role, pivotal role in your analysis. Okay, that's one thing that you need to remember. And yeah, so now that you will have several things actually we need to understand. So one very important thing is that you can actually first thing is connect your data, and then you have set up your data sources, and then you can manage your data source. How you can manage your data source means, just go here. Okay, just go here. Let me just put this book table here. Okay, which I have put it in my, this is what you call it as a canvas. Okay, so now I have put here. Okay, now if you see here, just click on this. These are the options which is available for me. Okay, so this is the meaning of managing the data sources, where you can edit your data source, and then you can refresh your data sources, exporting, upgrading, closing. All of these operations could be done by making use of these options which is available with you. Okay. And not only that, when it comes to setting up your data sources, you need to concentrate on two things. One is joining your data, and then blending your data, and then you can actually have a relationship with the data. So when you're doing a visualization, understanding of all of these things is very much essential. And just that we wanted to understand in this session, when it comes to managing your data sources, the management can happen through these things, like maybe for example, I'll drag one more thing. See here, this is what connection is happening, right? So once the connection is happened, if I will just double click on it, then I can select my field and then I can define what is the relationship. Okay, so I can just establish a relationship here, or I could define the joining operation also. Okay, so that is also possible. So all of these things we are going to understand very detailedly. But then what you need to understand in this session is that definitely when it comes to managing a data sources, I could manage the data sources and make it proper, or make it something which is usable for performing all kind of analysis, or for performing all kind of visualization. It can happen through uh, I mean, I can make it possible by making the management of the data. Okay, so there are a lot of things actually involved with managing the data. Like you can actually convert a field, and then you can pivot the data. So all of these things we are going to discuss very detailedly in the coming sessions. Okay, so just I wanted to give you a complete overview of what is the meaning of connecting to data. We will discuss about each and every one of the thing which is present in our connecting to data in a detailed manner throughout the course. You will be discussing it. Okay, so just to make you run through what exactly is happening to connecting to data is that you should know how you can get the raw data from multiple connectors or pivotal, and from a clipboard you wanted to get the data possible. So all of these things we have seen a demo. And then how you can connect to the Tableau through the connectors. You can connect to your Tableau, and then you can define your source, which is your data source. After you have performed all sort of operations, you can actually define your source. Finally, you can actually make the data which is suitable for analysis, which where comes the management of your data sources. So the management of your data sources again will help you to um, get a better data source, so that the visualization and analysis will become fruitful. Okay, so that's all I have for this session, to give you a complete overview on what is the meaning of connecting to the data. So in the next session, we'll try to understand each and everything individually, and we will start a discussion from dimensions and measures. So hope to see you in the next session. That's all I have for this session. Thank you.